Hello, it's Ryan from 2minutetennis.net, and in this video, we're going to cover 3 serve power sources you can use to improve the speed and effectiveness of your serve. Tip number 1, the Continental grip. This is where you put the base knuckle of your index finger and your heel pad on panel number 2. When you go up to serve with a Continental grip, it helps the racket come up on edge. And this is a good thing because then it requires pronation, which is really the fastest way to move the racket through the hitting zone. It's instant racket speed and power. So here is an easy way to help you use a Continental grip. At the beginning of your serve, when you get ready, have your racket face open. You know, I do Zoom lessons every week. I do about a dozen Zoom lessons for people around the world. They send me videos of their technique and we meet live on Zoom and I show them a side-by-side comparison between their technique and the pros, and they ask me questions. It's a really cool thing. If you'd like to have me personally fix your technique, go to 2minutetennis.net and sign up. Well, about half the Zoom lessons I do are on the serve. And I can tell what grip someone's using on their serve without ever looking at their hand. And it's all based on where the strings are pointing. If someone walks up to serve and they're like this, their strings are facing down, I know it's a forehand grip. Because what changes with the grips isn't the hand position, it's the racket face. The racket face is how coaches can tell what grip someone is using from 3 courts away, from 10 courts away. We don't have eagle eyes and can see where the knuckle and heel pad are. We just see where the racket face is pointing, and that lets us know. So at the beginning of your serve, I challenge you to start with your racket face open if you're not someone who typically uses a Continental, and that way when you hold it that way and grab on, the chances of having a Continental grip go way up. All right, tip number 2. When you are moving the racket around, hit the birthday hat off. You've seen this before, I know it. I challenge you. You know, I'd like to know in the comments, what color is your birthday hat? You know, I've had people in the comments and they write me emails or I see them in person. They say, hey Ryan, I tried the birthday hat thing. It didn't work for me. And I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. It's not for everyone. I totally get it. By the way, what color is your birthday hat? And they go, oh, you got me. I didn't really wear a birthday hat. I'm like, yeah, I figured. And the reason is because most people who try this don't actually wear a birthday hat. There's a reason I'm not just telling you to imagine a birthday hat. There's a reason why I actually wear a birthday hat. Because when you move the racket in over your head, knocking off a party hat, making a 360-degree move where your elbow's back here, like you're elbowing someone. Jeff Salzenstein calls it the elbow of the enemy. I love it. When you're elbowing someone, you knock off a birthday hat and then you come around. That's the move that gets the racket to whip so fast. You know, you don't want the racket to go towards your back. You want the racket to go away from your back. Vic Braden, don't scratch your back, scratch your friend's back. So the way to do that simply is to wear a birthday hat on the head. Now, the reason for that is so that you can get the instant feedback as to whether or not you're doing it. About, 2022? This was 8 years ago. So 8 years ago, I was on court with a bunch of 8-year-olds. And I was talking to them about the service motion. You know, they're 8 years old. It was in a pretty advanced group, but some of them were going a little bit palm up, and I really wanted to work on their racket going in over their head. So I told them, hey, unicorns can't serve correctly. And they all laughed. I'm like, no, I mean this. If unicorns could serve, their racket would hit the horn if their racket was moving in over their head. And I was thinking, and they all laughed, but I said, oh, there's got to be a way. So I kind of took responsibility for it. And I said, what can I put on their heads? And all of a sudden for the next week, I go, oh my gosh, I'm going to have them wear birthday hats. I can still remember it was a bunch of Sesame Street birthday hats. And there was like Elmo and Big Bird. It was hilarious. And the racket passing in over the head, knocking off the party hat, birthday hat, it fixed everyone's serve. So please, you got to stay away from the waiter's tray. If you're someone who tosses the ball up and does this, you're not going to hit your fastest serves. Now, one thing I'd like to add about the birthday hat, because I always get people in the comments who go, you know, Ryan, your favorite player of all time, Pete Sampras, would not have hit the birthday hat. I know, I agree with you, and I love his serve, and I think his serve is perfect. And Nadal wouldn't hit the birthday hat. Have you seen Shapo? Shapo would never hit the birthday hat. Denis Shapovalov. I agree with you, but there's a difference. When they don't hit the birthday hat, they come around with their racket slightly closed, right? Players who are searching YouTube to look for ways to improve their serve, they are not the type of players who go open and then come around on edge and then pronate the way Pete Sampras did. You look at Federer even. Federer knocks off the party hat, but his racket opens afterward. But when it comes around, it's closed. So I am not forcing anybody to use the birthday hat. If you don't hit the birthday hat and your racket hits a dunce cap, because it goes really high, Milos Raonic, or the racket misses the party hat, that's fine. If you come around like this, then we're all good. It's just that the party hat is a great way to make sure that you get a circular swing and that your racket comes around on edge. And the last tip is to time the legs correctly. You know, a lot of players, they know like, oh, I'm going to use my legs, which I think it's overblown, to be honest, how much leg use actually improves people's serves. Because if somebody has perfect leg use and a swing that's not optimal, their serve is not going to be that big. But if someone has their arm action really great and they're not pressing up with their legs correctly, they'll hit a great serve. You can hit a 100-mile-an-hour serve on your knees. So like, trust me, this is the most important part of the swing, is actually the swing and arm action. But if you can use the leg timing correctly, it can add miles per hour to your serve. Here's the idea. When the ball comes out of your hand, that's when I want you to start bending your knees. Now remember, you're going to be knocking off the party hat at this time. When the ball comes out of your hand, you're going to bend your knees. At the moment you hit the birthday hat, that's when you're going to explode up. I want you to film yourself and look at this, because I'm watching a lot of players, and on Instagram, my DMs on Instagram go on forever, and I get people sending me videos of their serve, and I see it all the time. Players will knock off the birthday hat as they're still sinking down, and then they get all the way down to the bottom and their racket's upside down, and then they explode up. That is not the optimal time to explode up with your legs. We want to be exploding up with our legs as the racket is hitting the birthday hat, or just before our racket hits the birthday hat. That accentuates the racket drop and the shoulder stretch, getting this really big stretch, and then like a catapult, the arm just slingshots up and forward. So please go out and film yourself. Make sure you've got the Continental grip where your racket face is slightly open at the beginning, and keep that grip, because a lot of people, they start with that grip and then they get to here, and unbeknownst to them, they change the grip, and you get in arguments with them. They're like, what do you mean I use a Continental? I'm like, George, you're not using a Continental. Look at your grip change halfway through the serve. So film yourself to see if you're changing your grip. The second idea is move the racket. It's what I call turn, toss, salute. Like you're saluting, palm down, move the racket in over your head. Make sure that the racket comes this way to hit the birthday hat. The reason the birthday hat works is because there's a string, so you don't have to keep picking it up. And then last is use the leg drive correctly. So as you toss, your knees bend, and when your racket gets to the birthday hat, that is when the explosion occurs. Film yourself, check what you're doing, compare it to this video, and if you do, there's no doubt you're going to gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Ryan Reedy from 2MinuteTennis.net. You got this.